Hey everybody, this episode is brought to you by the World Championship Blacksmiths. We just got done with the Winter Clinic in Amarillo, hosted at Wellshod, and if that's an event that you haven't been to and you're looking for an event to continue your education and meet some new people, the Winter Clinic is definitely one to put on your list. While we were there at the Winter Clinic, we've recorded a few episodes, and this episode is with John McNerney of Yukon Forge, who is actually going to be judging the upcoming WCB contest in Amarillo, Texas, April 9th through the 12th, the West Texas Ranch Rodeo. And this episode's actually going to be going over the shoe list that John had come up with for that contest. So if you guys want to show your support, go over to their website, worldchampionshipblacksmiths.com, and they have a whole line of merchandise and some tools that you guys can purchase. And then if you choose to buy something, use code BRAINS for 10% off. It's not including contests, fees, or membership fees, but you can help show your support for the podcast and for the WCB by going over there, support them, buy some merchandise. We wanted to do this episode to help kind of shed some light on how John came up with the shoe list and what to kind of expect and how he's going to be judging the contest. So I think it's great insight for everybody to kind of, hear from the judge himself to figure out what he wants to see and how to go about it. One thing that kind of caught me off guard was the tongs, the two-man class. You have to make a set of tongs to build the draft shoe. There's no tongs allowed at all on the floor of that ghost. So that's going to be some real trials and tribulations to try to figure that out. So hope you guys enjoy this episode, and you show your support by using that code BRAINS, and we'll see you there at the Amarillo, West Texas Ranch Rodeo.
All right, welcome everybody to another episode of Forging Brains podcast. I'm your host, Riley Kirkpatrick, my co-host Gavin Cooper, and we got one of our sponsors with us, one of our industry manufacturers, and he's going to be one of the judges for the upcoming WCB. We got John McNerney with us, Yukon Forge.
Yeah.
Thanks for taking the time with us, man.
You bet. I'm happy to be here. This is awesome.
And we've been at we're at Wellshod for the WCB Winter Clinic, where John's been over there selling goods. They've been laser etching stuff on tools. Man, it's been like your table's been busy the whole entire time.
Yeah, we stay busy. Of course, we threw all the specimen shoes on the table. That kind of helped. Everybody, right?
While you're here, you've seen.
Look at my tools that I got to sell.
Yeah, every advantage, right?
Yep. So John's going to be judging the first contest of the year for the WCB. And it's going to be the one in Amarillo at the Ranch Rodeo, and that's April 9th through the 12th. And it's cool because I think it's cool because it's piggybacking kind of right off of, we just did a contest where we had a tool in a shoe.
Yeah.
And coming into the first one of the year, man.
Tool in a shoe.
Hopefully you kept eating your Wheaties and you got a tool in a shoe.
Yeah.
It's like, you stay on the game where it's like it's still a trade-owning thing. So what we got for the two-man is you got to make a pair of tongs, right?
Yep. You got to make a pair of tongs, and then you got to use these tongs to make this shoe.
And so we got an ag heel draft shoe.
Yep.
And would you say like the draft shoe's pretty in convention style?
Yes. Yep. It's convention style, 17 and a half. Nothing crazy about that. Ag heels. The crazy part is I guess back up a second. So I love the tool in the shoe.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Because it's a little different.
Yeah.
And it opens up your mind.
Yeah.
Right. So you get into the creative side. And so this was a really favorite class of mine when we were doing Calgary.
Yeah.
And I really liked it, and I did a deep dive into it, and we had some success with it, and I just thought it was really neat. Well, on the flip side of that, once I started making tongs, my blacksmithing possibilities just exploded.
Oh yeah.
Right? So I could make I call it like freedom. Right.
Yeah.
So at that point, I could make whatever pair of tongs I needed to make whatever shoe, and that turned into whatever blacksmith project I needed. I could just make tongs.
Yeah, Shane's whole thing, owning your trade. Man.
Yeah,
You
absolutely.
don't need the store.
Yeah, and this kind of forces people to do it.
Yep.
A little
I
bit,
agree.
and it seems like people, like when I present it and give the clinic this weekend, it seems like people were like positive about it.
Like you presented it. I watched your demo, and you gave it in a very digestible form.
Yeah, that's what I was trying to do.
You did good. So what do people get to start with when the class goes?
Okay, so you're going to get a lollipop, 2 lollipops, and a rivet.
Okay.
Okay, and so basically what you're going to have to do is basically the jaw, the boss, and the shoulder.
And a lollipop, you don't know, it's like the reign's already drawn out.
Yep. Correct.
So the reins are pretty much to like 3/8 round, I'm guessing.
Mm-hmm.
And then you got, I think it's like 2.5 inches.
Correct.
Of 3/4.
Correct.
Since 1977, Rusty Brown has been producing jewelry that has much more meaning than just equestrian-themed jewelry. It's designed by farriers who live and breathe horses, lovingly referred to as the blue-collar jeweler because every piece is proudly made here in the United States of America by the hands of retired Marines. Stop by and visit our booth, or check us out online at rustybrownjewelry.com.
It's really cool to have Rusty Brown sponsoring the podcast. They are a jewelry company that, they have all these different designs that are come up by farriers like Mark Milster, Jim Keith, and many others, and Tom Willoughby as well. And we all know Tom's a very artistic guy. Their jewelry is all designed by people that we all know and created by people that we've also heard about too. So you can go to their website, use code BRAINS, and get yourself 20% off anything that you want to order on their website. They've got a lot of pretty cool designs. If you have a significant other or a friend or even yourself, go sport yourself some pretty cool jewelry.
Up front.
Yep.
To make the jaw and everything
Right.
from.
Yep. And then there's not going to be any stipulations when it comes to like bottom tools or jigs or anything.
Now, what
like
about
that.
other tongs?
No tongs?
No other tongs.
Correct. So
Striker too.
You can have a striker. Striker can't use a pair of tongs, and the only tongs that you can use in this class is the tongs that you make for the shoe.
So you can't even have a pair of tongs out there, like, say you're grabbing it from the jaw and you may do the offset or start doing the S curve over the edge of the anvil.
Correct.
So
Yeah.
all with cross beam.
Yep.
You're gonna
all
have to
across.
do that move I tell you from near side.
Yeah. Oh boy.
Yeah.
Near
Yeah.
side,
I
near
didn't know
side,
that.
or hold past.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll
Yep.
figure that out.
Yeah.
you.
Yeah. You're already thinking, right? Yeah.
I didn't think about that either until this was like, that's
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure I tell you to make tongs. That's how I tell you to make
No,
tongs.
that's funny. That's funny. Well, yeah. So it's good,
Yeah,
and
that's
that's
good.
exactly what
No,
I
it's
wanted.
a problem solving.
Yeah, problem
deal,
solving.
man.
So that's what it was all about. So, like when I did Calgary, when I competed, I wanted to I'll give you all the information I got, but when that buzzer goes, I'm like, I want to gut stomp you and kill you. I want to win the class. And so I would think really hard, and how can I impress the judge? So there's some pageantry in this. But before I go into it, let's just talk about like
What are you gonna look
functionality,
at? What are you
right?
gonna
Okay.
How are you going to judge this?
All right. So first thing, they need to articulate, right? So they need to nothing sucks more is when you're making shoes and you grab your tongs and it sticks.
Yeah.
And then so this means like they're free. I'm gonna look at the rivet to see if your rivet is cockeyed, if it's S curved or whatever, and then I'm also going to look at how the steel fits into the jaws, right?
Yeah.
So that's a big deal.
Like if it goes all the way to the boss.
Right. We want to go all the way to the boss, and we want solid contact from the boss forward.
So you're probably going to have a little piece of steel there that you can put into those tongs. Not necessarily grabbing a draft shoe.
Yep.
You're just going to have a chunk of steel.
Yes.
To
kind of
test
sand
it.
that you would use
Yep.
to fit them up.
100%. I'll have a piece of unforged draft stock, 1/2 inch,
Yep.
that the edges have been ground, so it
Yep.
fits in nice. And I'll put it in here, and I'm going to look up to see if I got gaps, and I'm going to pull it back and forth if I have a pivot point.
Yep.
Real simple.
And then are you going to be too worried? Are you want the specimens, or can they just be
Great question. So I want people, this is what I made for specimens, but I want people to understand, go kick my butt. Go be creative. If you want to make round jaw tongs, make round jaw tongs. If you want to make square boss tongs, go make them. If you
Okay.
don't want to put a shoulder, don't make them. Like, do what you want to do and just go impress me.
and make a good
Yeah.
pair of tongs?
And I know it might sound simple to people at home that you're like, yeah, I just want a pair that articulate, that are straight and square, and the stock fits. There might be 10 pair on the table that check all those boxes.
Correct. You put a little bit of work, you can do that.
You can't. I'm not saying it's impossible. But I'm just saying like not as easy as people think though either.
Oh, yeah.
Right.
So it is like that. It's
Sounds
just like
like
saying
it's
like
set.
yeah, the shoes on the table they're gonna win. They're the ones that aren't racked, that are to size,
Yep.
that are flat.
Yeah.
They
Yeah.
don't have sole pressure.
Right. How many actually come in flat?
Not very.
Right. And to get this is the ultimate pairs class.
Mm-hmm.
Like if you can't get your bosses in the same place, if you can't get your jaws, they look funky.
Yeah, so that's where you're gonna go from after. Okay, so they have the basics. They
Yeah.
articulate, they fit, like that. Then you're saying going, are the shoulders square across from each
Right.
other?
Yeah.
Are the tips?
Yep.
Cheat
And
sheets.
you can have that messed up and it still works.
Oh yeah.
But man, they look better. Like if we got them even, these kind of match. They're the symmetrical. They're a pair, right?
Yeah.
They're a pair, and you just can't lie because you put a
The
rivet
other
on
one's
them.
right
and
there.
Yeah, they're right there.
It's right there.
So if they're funky somehow, they're gonna be funky. But
Yeah.
if you can get them paired up, and then if you could do something that puts a little bit of wow to it, then that's pretty neat.
Yeah.
So, but that's fun. That I think it's a fun class to do that, and then make this shoe.
Is the gription inside of the jaw of the tongue, is that important? Do you care if it would be like a round dimple, or do you want the cross hatching?
So it doesn't really matter. So basically, you can either do the dimple, the hatching, all that. Basically, what that is to give you multiple points of contact.
Okay.
So you're not flat. So each one of those has an opportunity to have a grip onto the shoe, and you can have, like I said, multiple points of contact onto your stock, which gives you better grip and less of a pivot.
Let's talk about the greatest horseshoeing supply house in the world, Wellshod. Next up, they're actually hosting the Winter Clinic for the WCB in February. So they're located in Amarillo, Texas. And, it says a lot about who they are and what they support by, allowing us all to come there and, basically just tear up the whole Wellshod building. So they pretty much have every tool that you can imagine or every supply that you can imagine that you need to, use in your business. Just go onto their website, www.wellshod.com, and they got everything you can need, any tool, supply, and also the $10 flat rate shipping. So can't get much better than that. If you use code BRAINS at checkout, they'll send you a little surprise gift in there as well. So support those who support you. I think that says a lot about the companies that have supported Forging Brains and been a part with us is, they're invested in you guys as well. So help them survive by supporting them and, purchasing the things they have to offer. So thank you guys.
And it's like a horseshoe. Like sliders are slick.
Correct.
Because they have tons of surface area. Or but then this has less surface area
Right.
when you put the grip in and stuff like that it's gonna have more bite. It's a concave shoe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's gonna have some
Typically, traditionally, what you'll see is round head will have a dimple.
yeah.
Mhm.
Why? Because you have a die and you're trying to fill the die. And to fill it evenly, you use a round punch and it
Sinker
blows
to
it
the
out.
bottom.
Yeah.
Okay.
And with this, it's easy to just hatch mark it. If you put a dimple in it, then it blows it out and like a eye in a nail hole, right?
Yep.
And so the hash marks are kind of cool, but you can do all kinds of neat stuff. And like one year we did, we had to make ox shoes in Calgary, and so we couldn't do bottom die, so we did top dies. So on the top die, I had made the die so it was a cow head on the top. So when it came down, it was round with the cow head on it, and
That's pretty cool.
yeah, it was. People came back and they're like, "What the?" And
Within the rules.
yeah, it was way within the rules. Yeah, so
And so I do think this class, people probably might think it's overwhelming at first.
yes,
But we watched John do the demo on these. John do it each side and 2 heats. So 4 heats total on this pair to get to riveting.
yeah, and even if you're legged up,
Yep.
you could do it in.
Oh,
one
you can do a heat.
Yeah,
Yeah, I was like, man, you can do a heat.
yeah,
If you and your striker are on the jam,
you can do
Yep.
it.
you have a good potential of doing a heat with Troy.
Yeah,
Where the striker already knows where
You
he's
could-
going so well. It's
yeah. I was talking and I did it in 2 heats.
Yep.
Yeah.
So it's
So-
don't get over too overwhelmed. I think there, even if you're a new novice guy, 3 heats you're gonna be there. you're going to have
Yeah.
a size. So 6 heats on the thing, and you're going to be ready to rivet. But just don't get too crazy. It's crazy. Like, make a pair that work and fit the thing.
Right.
And make a shoe that is not racked and has a clip in the center.
Yeah.
That's just size and flat and doesn't have the basics.
Right. Sometimes clean basics kick the crap out of everything else. Like you can say if we made a pair of tongs like this and I gave myself an extra 10 minutes to rasp it, it would be hard pressed to beat this.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? In that time frame. Yeah. Because all the lines and crisp and I had time to brush it and stuff like that. If I one heated these and I took the extra time to rasp them, they'd be way up on the list, if not winning. Okay. So it's really people will and I kind of like when I say you can do whatever, that it's almost like a catch, right? They're like, if we do all this stuff and blah, we'll try to impress John, and you do it, and it came out like not quite right, then it's gonna look really bad. But if you did it really basic and it's super clean, how do you knock that?
So I when you're like, man, you can do whatever you want, I'm like, man, I've spent 3 hours making a pair of square jobs. I'm gonna make these bad dogs hammer finish.
Right.
Like, man, you can go down
go down that rabbit hole.
Pretty hard enough. It's like just simple and working good.
Don't stray too far away from what's given to you.
Right. Yeah, exactly.
No, I think that's great on that class. So I think.
How do you think you would go about running that class? So you have to make the pair of tongs and then so it's going to be hard to even so there's no tongs allowed to get this shoe into the fire and then move it out because you got to stick your whole hand up in there.
So that's where it's like you got to think, right? And I took mercy on some of the younger guys, right? And they're like, I got too much time on this, and I asked them, I said, well, what could you possibly do with this shoe without a pair of tongs? And they're like, well, you have to. I'm like, could you wear a pair of gloves? And they're like, what? So they make Kevlar gloves. Oh, you can use welding gloves. Could you possibly, if you wear gloves and you got it and you had your quench bucket right, where you could just quickly drop it into a shallow, get one side cold, get the other side cold, could you bump it? I think I could. I know I could. And then could you stick one in and do the heel without the thongs with your hand with a glove? I think I could. And do the others. Now, how fast could you make that shoe if you had those 3 parts done?
Way fast.
Right, so that blows your that blows your
mind.
Oh,
things
okay.
up, like
so I mean, it's gonna be a hump, and now they're thinking, okay, I can do 300 different things, but now we're not 2 shoes, right? We're 2 things here and 1 thing's here. So you're like, okay, well, all right, you gotta organize and have a plan and do your homework to see if you can do that kind of stuff.
Yeah, so. Trust my wheel. I'm not even going. It's like, but I'm not going to say things for Gavin's sake because it's like, I know he'll make him use it, but it's like, I just was like, don't think inside the box too much.
Correct.
Look at yourself and be like, what is a tong?
Correct. Right. So that's
all I'm going to say.
That's what's so fun.
What is a tong?
All right, guys. You can think outside the box, right? And that's permitted. So have fun with
yourself.
Yes.
When I'm standing there and saying, how am I going to do this? Say, what is a tong and what else could work?
Yeah. And I would warn the competitors at the meeting not to ask me, well, what is a tong? Or what is, and don't make rules. I give you the parameters. I give you the rules here. We're done. Just go for it. Like as long as you don't use a pair of tongs for that, you're going to be good. All right, now think.
Yeah.
All right.
Crazy.
Yeah.
So, that's what's fun. I think that's fun. So.
I think we oversaid almost.
Yeah.
What's our next class?
Right,
what's our next one?
So, which one you want to do next?
Let's do the individual class.
Okay. So I backed off on the individual class just a little bit, but we've got basically your cock and wedge out of 3/8 by 3/4 concave. With kind of your hunter heel and your little stubby wedge with quarter clipped and safe toe.
Okay.
6 nails.
And what's that made out of?
So 3/8 by 3/4.
Perfect.
Yep. So.
And it's a shoe that's like it's set down. It's roadster almost a little bit.
Yep.
So
it's forged down.
Yep. No, that's set down. It's a safe toe that's all the way through the toe.
Yep.
Like some of them are.
And those are hammer drawn clips as well.
Yeah. Yep. Hammer drawn clips on the side.
Yeah, pretty
6 nailed.
straightforward.
Got some good boxing on the outside.
Yep.
Safed up on the inside. Good safe clips.
Yep. Good meaty safe clips.
Yep.
Basic shoe at a concave. I put a lot of these on
Dude,
polo
I'm
horses.
like, horses like this stuff.
They do, yeah.
Like, it's really like, man, I like putting heels on horses. That one's pretty. You're just looking for a good basic shoe. Like that one, I think is pretty straightforward.
Yeah.
Almost.
Yeah.
When it comes to the heels, you're just looking for not fish lippy.
Correct.
Solid.
Yeah. So we're looking for the roadster heel on the back, and we've got it. We've got a bunch boxing here, and then we've got our hunter heel on the other side. So I think what you're gonna find, if you try to make these even, if you try to make this too long, there's no way it's gonna fit.
Yeah.
And I figured that out when I was doing polo horses. I made these for polo horses, and man, I had to have this thing like sideways to get the dang thing to fit on the inside heel. So that was a big. And this one could be, you can argue it's long, but it's you want to offset. You want the heel cock to come down.
Anytime I put heels on a horse, if I'm gonna come short on a side, it's the outside.
From the beginning of Forge and Brains podcast, we've had the great sponsor, Farrier Box. They're doing something that's really different in our trade to give you guys, anything of the latest and greatest tools and designs that you may not necessarily want to go purchase off the shelf because you're unsure, but they'll give it to you in a subscription box every other month. So you can go to the website, farrierbox.com, use code BRAINS, and get yourself 25% off your first month's box. They're innovative and doing something kind of that hasn't been done before in our trade. So go show your support, sign up with Farrier Box, and you won't be disappointed with all the pretty cool stuff that you get. There's a lot of things that I implement in my day-to-day shoeing that I probably wouldn't actually have gone out because I'm kind of a tightwad when it comes to stuff like that. And so it's pretty cool to have Farrier Box supporting Forge and Brains and helping you guys out through your day-to-day life too.
Yeah.
Like tool and folder day, you go to the horse, you're like, it's very rarely the inside.
They like to go long.
Yeah, you're like,
right, yeah.
You're like, and the outside, I could use another 8. It's like,
I need to graduate a little more, right?
Yeah, I think that one's pretty straightforward.
Yeah.
That's a good one.
So I think this is
a little bit easier on people. That
right.
day.
Yeah, I think this one will. I mean, it's something that we probably haven't seen for a while.
No.
So this is a diagonal weighted shoe, and
call it
the
the
outside.
D-bag?
What's that?
Didn't you call it the D-bag?
Yeah, so we call it the D-bag diagonal weighted shoe. I tried to call it the collateral diagonal weighted
Just having
therapeutic
some fun with
shoe.
it.
Yeah.
Coons didn't like
Mouthful.
that, and so he corrected me.
Okay.
But we made this a while back, like a long time ago, probably 20 years ago in a contest. And so I thought, I'll bring that back because it's fun.
Yeah.
The thing guys will do is either forge this or cut it. And even cutting it, like they're like, oh, this is simple. But then if you flip it over, it looks like a normal horseshoe.
Yeah.
Right. And so it's really easy to destroy your shoe.
And what were your original stock dimensions that it started with?
Oh, good. So this is 13 inches of 1 by 3/8.
Okay.
Yep.
Yeah, I think that's where, like, I think you're right. Guys are going to run into trouble. They're going to cut this out and they'll get skinny, or they'll hammer it out and they'll be fat.
Chasing it. Yep.
Yeah, where it's like you got, don't even, when you judge this shoe at home for yourself, judge it from the back.
It is. This 100%. This is the trap. They're gonna like, oh, I'm gonna make this really pretty, and they forget about it's just a normal shoe.
This is a shoe myself would be. I would be like, it's easy to get lost here chasing this line.
Yep.
And then you turn it in because you're like, well, he's gonna see that little bobble there, and it's like, he's gonna see the bobble here. That you just laid down way more.
Yeah.
So it is one. Yeah.
Yeah, you flip it over, it looks like a normal shoe.
Watch the backside.
That's what I would advise people, like pay attention to the backside and the basics on the shoe. Yeah, it has some lines, and you're right. You start chasing those lines, and you can spend your whole class trying to make the lines.
Whole
perfect.
class, or you'll do that last minute, and all of a sudden you didn't have time to take it to the horn again.
Yeah,
and
right.
make it have a nice inside line.
Right.
So it's like.
Yeah, and if
It's
you get struggling cutting it, and you lose time, that's where you're gonna have trouble.
Yep.
And you did cut it, you said?
I did. I cut it and then I just cleaned it up.
Yep.
All right.
Now, the trick on the cutting is I use a fat fuller,
Okay.
and then as it cuts, I want that fuller to push it out, so it's gonna slide down. And I even put it at a little bit. And once I get cutting, I let it tip it a little bit and let it kind of cut out and just
heading out.
because at the very end, you notice where it's not a razor,
No.
right? So and then that's the trick. So it's still an appropriate
Yeah.
section on the backside.
You don't lose your whip.
Yeah, instead of if you make that an edge, it's going to be a problem.
Right.
And it's also how you don't wreck your fuller.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. Man.
It's going to be easy to wreck your fuller.
Don't keep going in a hot.
And if you need
Pace.
fullers, John at Yukon Forge.
John,
they got fullers.
Yeah, we got fullers.
came out with a shoe and a new fuller.
Yeah.
It's just for
Yeah,
cutting
if
out
you're-
inner rims.
If you're really good, you do this without a cutting block.
Yeah.
No, just kidding, guys. Use your cutting block.
All right, then we got the shoeing class, huh?
Yeah. All right, so this is for live
cool
shoeing. Let's so let me talk about the on the foot real quick. So it's going to be hammer finished. So no rasping, no sand blocking. I want no kind of abrasive on the shoe. All right, so
Is that the same for on the foot as well?
on the shoe, on the foot. Now you on the top side, you can box sand all you want.
Okay.
Like
so
if
you
you
can
on the
use
finish,
finishing
you can
systems.
clean it up all you want. I'm okay with that.
Okay.
But for the shoe, the test is hammer finished.
Okay.
So this is off the hammer, and so I love that test because it keeps you honest on your measurements, and you really have to have your homework done.
Yeah.
Yeah.
3/4 fuller toe clip.
Yep.
Hammer finished.
Yep. 3/8 by 3/4. And if we get a big giant horse.
You won't. You're in Texas.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah,
We're
it's
going to be
gonna
at the
be-
ranch rodeo, so I
Yeah,
think we're going to
man,
be
they're gonna
okay.
be some sport
But
horses.
I think we'll be okay with this. So, yeah.
We had so when Riley and I were kind of coming up with our shoe list, like it went through our chat. We're like, what if we did hammer finished on the foot? But
Yeah, because it is like I think for the live shoeing, that's like something you're like, you want them to call their shot.
Yeah. Yeah, you
You
are.
want to see like, yeah, this is a real test. This is
Yeah.
not like, can you fudge it? Can
grasp it all off.
can you nail it?
Yeah, and I'm guilty of it. So I even had a strategy on that. So when I was competing, I'd be like, all right, I'm always going to be a little long, but I always would play that game at the end. So I knew I would have a little bit of extra, so I could whatever fit that I was doing, that I could mold it with the rasp at the end.
Yep.
Well, I think this is ultimately harder because you can't do that. You have to do it off the hammer, and it becomes hard. And guys might struggle with it a little bit, but I think it's it's a cool exercise to be able to do that. You know what I mean?
I agree.
So it brings it up a little bit. It'll be, but on the flip side of that, you're not messing with the rasp and the boxing so much.
Yep.
So how much more time do you have to fit?
Yep.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So-
And it's like, man, great time and great tests to really pay attention to your horn, your tongue skills,
Yeah.
and your overlapping hammer blows.
Right.
Learn
Yeah.
how to just make a shoe cleaned up.
Right. Yep.
You're still keeping your fit there.
It's a
Yeah.
good test.
Yeah, I think so. And then for the specimen, we're going to do the Roadster Preventer, where we've got the set down, the heel nails, and then we got the big wedge on the backside, big toe clip. But the thing is, I guess we got here. What I want people to understand: if you get super wolfy with these, it's not going to work,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, and do you have yours, like,
Yeah.
one this way and then one that
Yeah,
way?
this one is almost
Yep.
straight
Out.
up and down.
Yeah.
Right? And then this one has just a little bit of pitch to
yep.
it. But it's
around the
so
fold.
easy to make this way past center.
Oh, yeah.
Like, it's really easy
Oh,
to
yeah.
do that. So, and there's two different nails. So we got E6 on one side, and then we got the E4s on the other
On the
side.
medial
Yeah.
side.
So-
And you can rasp this shoe as well.
Yes, this one you can rasp. You can make it pretty, turn it into jewelry. That's just fine. That'll be, and that is kind of a neat shoe to be able to do that, because once you get your lines on here, you can really clean.
And
it
what
up.
was the original stock dimensions on that one?
So this is 12 inch of 1 by half by 1.
Okay.
So, and I bumped toe pretty good, and then I leave a good meat for that. So, but this isn't that as scary as you think.
Yeah, it's like a pretty, like, I do think it's cool. Like, and hopefully don't take offense to this. It's like, your shoe list is almost a little, like, throwbacky.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Oh, that's me. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I don't think, yeah.
No,
I
I'm not
think
taking
you're-
offense.
I think you're still a modern guy, man. You're out there with a laser. I don't even have, I don't even
Right.
have 4 walls in my shop.
Right.
But your shoes, I think they're like this roadster's got a toe in it.
Yeah.
If not this way as much, but it's got a toe this way in the thing. Yep. So it's like, no, it's a cool list.
Yeah. I mean, that's my background, man. I mean, like, I came from my first shop was almost the size of an outhouse, and it was just me, anvil, and the forge, and that's you know
these are the shoes you guys are making.
Exactly.
No, I think it's cool. Where do you think guys are gonna get in a bind on it besides these medial nails? What else do you think is gonna
probably forming the wedge? They're gonna get hung up on that too much, and there's several different ways you can make it. I cut those out, and made them simple.
Yeah. So when he says cut it out, because I watched you do your demo, so the people that weren't at the demo, he cut it out this way, and then this way, and met in the middle. So you cut out a triangle.
Yes. Yep, cut it out triangle. But my whole goal cutting it out is just to start the step and get rid of some meat. Right? Yep. What people will get in trouble with is thinking that the cutout is the finished section. Yeah. It is not.
No.
Yeah. It's not, and it shouldn't be, because it's going to be too dirty. Mm-hmm. Unless you are a phenomenally brilliant cutter outer or whatever. You want to be fat. Yeah. You want to be fat and doing it straight. And as you make the shoe, you forge that step into it a little bit. So you're doing two parts. So you
keep making it crisper and crisper.
Yeah, as you go. And it looks neater and neater as you get going. But if you cut too much,
you don't have enough to play with.
And then you're screwed. And then you can't come back from that. That's the point.
Definitely one advantage of coming to the winter clinic every year is you get to see the shoes demonstrated by the judge for the first contest of the year.
Yeah. Yep. This shoe is very intimidating for somebody that's never made one of these. I was. Yeah. When I got into it and I saw it, I'm like, oh my God. And then I think it was Quick or Shane, maybe it was Craig or somebody. They demoed it and they just cut it out and they made the shoe. I'm like, oh, okay. So
it's like, duh.
But no, I mean, I saw that thing for the first time, and I think Bean had it in a contest, and then he did a demo when he made it in a heat, and I was like,
yeah,
I can't do that.
Right. Yeah.
Like, man, I wish it looked easy.
Yeah, I know. He forged it out.
No, right. You did that demo for those people out there. I saw a bunch of people in the crowd. They're like,
the stress level came down.
Doable. They're like, I got a striker. Yeah, this is doable. Like,
I did that. I didn't have a striker. I was, I'm up burning it. So I had the tongs in between my legs. I'm like, I'm going to die.
I don't want to be too good, but it's like in the blacksmith world, they call that dick tonging.
I'm like, that's not good. Right. But we got it done. So it worked out.
What you use to cut this, is it pretty much just a hot cut?
Yeah, okay. Just skinny hot. So you want a skinny hot cut. Or you can use a fuller, but I would use as straight a fuller as you can. Yep. Because you want to kind of get away from any kind of jar marks.
Or beveling.
Yes. Because if it's going this way on your cut and you come this way, it's hard to get that shelf. Yep. You kind of want to come straight down. Yep. So if you're going to use a fuller, I'd use one with a really straight edge on the bevel. Then you'd probably be okay. But hot cut is probably more appropriate.
Yep. I would think so.
If you went to...
We've also got the great sponsor, Yukon Forge. It's great to hear from John McNerney on how he came up with the shoe list for the Amarillo West Texas Ranch Rodeo WCB, because we just went through that with Riley and myself trying to come up with the shoe list for the Fort Worth WCB. John's also got a whole line of different tools that you guys can go get. He's got tongs, hoof knives, fullers, hammers, the wrenchless propane nut. He's got everything, and he's always trying to come up with different ideas on how to, make his tools better and work for you guys. Whatever works for you guys, he wants to, work on that as well, implement them into his tool designs. So you can go to his website, yukonforge.com, use the code BRAINS, and it'll get you 10% off anything on his website. He also just had something he's working on coming out with the Flying V, guys, and it's a bird hunting knife. So handmade knives that John and Flying V guys are coming out with, which is also a pretty cool project. He's also been working with Todd Walker and revitalizing Todd's tool line. So recently, John had come out and talked to us about purchasing the Flatland Forge driving hammer business. So John with Yukon Forge actually now is producing all the driving hammers that Jim Poor had created with the Flatland Forge line, and he's producing those. And he also, on top of that, he's got the new design that's revitalized by Edward Martin, the driving hammer. It has the little thistle on the side, And that's actually one that I'm using my day-to-day practice now because it swings so great. I had used the regular Flatland Forge driving hammer basically my whole career until John sent me the one with the thistle, and it swings great. So go over, check them out, and we appreciate you sponsoring the podcast, John.
Fort Worth, you might have a couple straight blade pullers practice.
Grind into
Yep,
them.
that would probably help out. Yeah. Yep.
Man, that's good. And what is going to be match play?
All right, so match play, 15-minute, 2-man, plain step roadsters,
Half by one?
half by one. Yep.
Okay. Toe clip, obviously.
Yes, toe
Yeah.
clip. Yep.
God dang.
So that's a
Turns
throwback.
out it is a rodeo.
Yeah, it will be a
Yeah,
rodeo.
we're gonna be getting
So,
after it.
like you said, throwback. So this was the old. So
That's cool.
years ago, Jim Poor had the Texas 2-man, which was a fun thing, and he's all Jim Poor's a thinker. And so he came out with this deal. It was like, all right, we're gonna have the roadster class. It's gonna be speed roadster, and then you got 15 minutes to make. And none of us were like, that can't be done. That can't be done. And so then we got practicing, and apparently it can be done.
Yeah, it turns out.
It can be done.
It'll probably get down to like 8 minutes
Right.
towards the end.
Yeah.
It's unreal.
That's what we're gonna do. So everybody will get a striker. It'll be 2 men. We'll start off with 15 minutes, half by one. Obviously, still the eagle eye, still the match play thing. So I think that'll be cool.
Man,
Heck yeah.
Yeah,
It's going to be a test.
yeah, and it can go south every which way.
it can. But it's also, I think it's going to be a good thing of like, learn how to work with somebody
Yeah.
and what a sledgehammer does.
Yeah.
'Cause
Yes.
that's going to be your best friend in this class.
Oh, it's
Man,
it's
I
everything.
would rent Gavin running like a rented mule during
Oh,
this.
yes.
Like, you kind of almost have to have a guy though. You're like,
Oh yeah.
Oh, yeah.
at least have a game plan to tell a guy,
Yeah.
this is what we're gonna do. I would.
It's
you're gonna
it's
be
all
wanting to
it's
do
all
as
about your
little as
striker.
possible with your hand hammer.
Fortunately, there's a lot of guys that are plenty capable
Yep.
that know how to run
Yep.
a class
Oh,
like that.
I think
You
it's
can
gonna be
ask
cool
them,
to
grab
watch because I
somebody.
think they're gonna watch that first heat and then be like, okay, I see what these other guys are doing.
Yep.
I'm gonna do something a little different this next time. Like I think
Yeah.
it'll advance quickly.
It will. I
It'll
think
be
it'll
good.
advance really, really quickly. And I used to think, well, when Bill Poor started just doing stuff in no time at all, I'm like, all right, anything's possible. But if you have a striker and he knows what he's doing, you can get a lot done in one heat.
Yep.
A lot done, and
Yeah.
just make that guy work. And you got a big hammer, and you can.
Yeah, no, I
So-
think put it in the right places for him, and I think it'll be a good one.
I think it's a pretty dang cool list.
Yeah.
Kind of to go off topic from the shoe list,
Sure.
kind of asking about Winter Clinic. What has been kind of one is a cool thing that you've seen just by coming to the Winter Clinic and
Oh my gosh, dude, this is the coolest event when it comes to farrier. It's almost hard to explain. So I try to tell people, this event you can go outside and forage all day. You can come and see world-class clinicians give lecture after lecture after lecture. We had experts, top farriers from Florida, show us how to shoe horses. We had a world champion judge show us how you do concave. We had and it just goes on and on. Like I spent 2.5 hours showing people how to make tongs, but it was horseshoeing after horseshoeing after horseshoeing. But at the same time, you can go outside and practice. This is the only place you can get something, and then you can go try it out, and then bring it right back to you and say, "What do you think?"
Yeah.
And I'm like, "Here, let me show you." And we go back out, and like a good student, a really good student, only gets 8% of a lesson.
I believe it.
Right? So you sit in a lesson, you only get 8%. But how much more can you do if you get that lesson, you run outside, you try it out, then you come back? Like that's going to exponentially.
Oh, huge.
Right.
It's always so hard, like going to a clinic for 2 days. You're gathering all this information, and you almost forget what you want to go work on the
Right.
next day.
You only keep a little bit. But by going for 3 days and going back and forth, because you can only sit for so long. You can only see so many lectures. But then you can go out and practice. And I had fun because I gave the class, and then I go outside, and somebody asked me, he's like, "Hey, can you show me the tongs?" I'm like, "Yeah, absolutely." "Can you show me this?" "Yeah, absolutely." "What do you think of this shoe?" I'm like, blah, blah, blah. And so they get real-time feedback, and they get to go back at it.
So, yeah, and it's like, it's also like, man, sometimes you don't even have to walk around for it. Like you
Yeah.
watch guys, like, man, they're working. Like Craig is also making the rounds, and like the WCB team making the round, like guys like you making the rounds, and
Right.
like coming by and just helping people.
Right.
Yeah.
It is such a crazy thing.
So it's like owning your trade, right? So I love to teach, and I love it to see the young guys coming up. That is the future of the industry.
Yeah.
And it's amazing trajectory. I can't even speak. Sorry, of where we're going. Right.
Yeah.
So this is the day and age where the BS is kind of getting shoved aside
Yeah, no
because
politicking.
the snake
especially
oil.
here.
Yes, the snake oil salesman doesn't work. Because you can real time today in social media see what work is. You cannot tell me that
That's
somebody
right.
that has the
That's right.
means to buy whatever they want and they take horse riding very serious, they're a competitor. You cannot tell me that they don't want the best for their horse.
They do.
And you cannot BS what you see, right? The horseshoeing that's done by the guys that are working their butts off here is world class, and it's getting better and better. Those guys
Oh, yeah.
out there working are the
agree.
experts in our industry. They have more continuing education than 99% of horseshoers that are out there. And if I had a string of horses, if I'm a trainer, I am looking for that guy. I am looking for the guy that's on the
Everybody is.
top of the game, and I'll pay you whatever.
Yep.
Right?
Yeah, that is like it's funny to me too. Like I love these because, and it's something I haven't fully thought of just right now, but it's like this is the place where rubber meets the road. You don't get to run your mouth around the trail. Like you can go, like not like other events. I'm not even gonna name them. Other events, you just hang out in an exhibit hall. And
You're
kind
right.
of say what you would do. Well, I'd make a heel cock like this.
I've been
Well, I
doing
would
it
do
for 20 years.
As the guys competing. Well, if you do that here, somebody's like,
Show me.
you're up next.
Yeah.
You get to do the next one. And so it kind of like the BS is gone, and now that guy comes here and he's like, maybe I just want to ask to learn how to make one. I'm not going to try to talk about it.
Right.
Like it changes his whole entire head about the deal it's always like on the second note of like people that are competitors, show horse people that are competitors understand competitors.
Yes, and I don't understand the disconnect with that. With horseshoers, I think the competitors, the horse show rider competitors, the people that are trying to be the best,
Yep.
they understand that. You don't have they flock to guys that are trying to get better.
They understand.
Yes.
Yeah.
And the other thing about this whole deal is we can say the rubber meets the road, but there is no point where anyone is shunned.
No.
Yeah.
There is
No.
you can come at any level
Yep.
and you can say, Gavin,
Yep.
please help me. And Gavin's going to help you.
Yeah.
And that's why
You know,
it's
or
even the
sorry,
good
Riley,
deal.
Gavin, John, whatever.
Same
You know what I
deal.
mean?
Yeah.
So
But it's like even that guy, if you're saying this is how I do it and you get put up in the anvil and you make a mistake, no one's gonna be like, "Ha, gotcha."
Yeah.
They're gonna
no
be
one
like,
does that. No.
Cool,
Let
man.
me
I
help
made that
you.
mistake too. Let me show you how I stopped doing it.
Right.
Mhm.
Like it's such an
And there's
accepting
experts
place.
in all kinds of different fields. You know, like
Yeah.
and so like we've got guys like Mike Poe that have gone down the rabbit hole. You cannot tell me there's not another guy that's as educated as Mike Poe and Dusty Franklin, Craig Turnker when it comes to that, but they're also gone down both roads. They're educated and they put the skill.
Yeah.
So I always equate it to, those documentary, rich people go and get the best shoe for their foot at an Italian shoemaker.
Yeah.
Right? Why? Because he uses the best material. He is the most skilled and most knowledgeable to make you a good looking pair of shoes that fit. And they make documentaries about that guy. They
Right.
don't make documentaries unless it's a human rights thing about the guys that make the shoes for Walmart.
Yep.
Right? And so it's the same thing with horseshoeing.
Oh, it's the exact same thing. I agree completely.
It really is. And I try to tell people that don't come, like, don't be intimidated. Just come. You are not taking stuff away from here from not being here. You are taking stuff away from yourself from not being here.
That is very true.
This will
Very true.
enrich your life.
Yeah.
It'll enrich your career. It'll enrich your experience as a horseshoer. And like, get back to your original question. That's what it's all about. And that's what I think is the coolest thing I've seen in this. And I think like the traction from last year to this year is quite a bit.
Like what I was talking with you last night, like it's amazing to see how many more vendors are starting to show up.
Yes.
And kind of another question I have is like, how important do you think it is for you to be set up here as Yukon Forge and getting to meet everybody and like showcase your products?
It was our whole business plan. So it's not just we make products, but we want to be added value, right? So I want to make a hammer, so my plan wasn't to make like 4 forged hammers and then just I want to have a good quality hammer that I could sell to everybody. Yep. But on the flip side, I want to have added value. I want to be a part of your life. I want to be able to. I want to know you. If you have a question, I want to answer it. If you want to get a little bit of training, I want to add it. So everything that from the hoof knife to the hammers, it's added value, and this gives me the opportunity to give the added value.
Yeah.
To be able to be there, have that relationship with the customer. Like it's not just a customer; it's another horseshoer. I was a horseshoer.
Yeah.
I shot horses for a long time. I know your pain. I know your successes, and I get it. And I want my tool. Like I've had guys come back to me and say, "I've had these pair of tongs for 20 years, and they're still working." I'm like, "That is a win.
Yeah.
That is a win." Like, yes, that's what I want. So.
Yeah.
And so it's added value. So the customers, the farriers are kind of like a family thing. And so when it comes to being here for this, it totally allows our like business model to work because I can be here, I can see the guys, I can help them, I can give a clinic, I can whatever. Yep. I can just be a part of it, you know.
Man.
What would you kind of say to maybe some other people that have businesses that are on the fence about maybe coming and setting up and showcasing their products? What would they have to gain?
You're missing out. You've missed a trend. You do not know. It was like, so we did a deal at the AFA about social media.
Yeah.
And it was a board of people talking. And all the guys, I won't name names, but all the big brands and stuff, I'm like, we got a 12-year-old that does the social media post for us and blah. And they're like, we kind of do a thing where you can message us. And we have a guy that does a post. And they asked me to be on the board, right? So they get to me. And they're like, what do you do? I said, everything. And I'm not doing enough. Like I want to be inside. You got to be there, guys. I said, the old day magazines, they're out the door.
Yeah.
And if you're not in the social media and if you're not a part of this, you are missing out. Like you 100. If you're letting your advertising and your business plan be run by the guy that's like 80 years old, that's in retirement phase, that's a bad deal.
Yeah.
You need to be having a young guy that's hungry, that wants to, because it's a different business model. Like here, the guys want to know that you're part of their career, right? Yep. So if you're not here, that's fine with me. Like, I'm good. I'll take advantage of it every day of the week. But it's critical. Because it's not just here, right? So we have people from all over the country, and we have people from other countries. Like that are
Australia,
right? We have Australia, Canada. We have people from everywhere that are here, and each one of those guys are the jefe in their area, right? So Ian Ritchie, when he goes home, he is Ian Ritchie. Like he is the rooster in his thing. Well, if he has a Yukon Forge hammer, and he's like, I love this hammer, and his apprentice goes, well, I want to be like Ian Ritchie, and the guys that look up to Ian Ritchie goes, I want that, and then all of a sudden you start getting more calls.
Spreading. And it's
spreading.
Man, people don't get that of like, man, so much of the world is done in hanging out and handshakes and, well, I got a buddy.
Yeah.
So when Ian's sitting there, someone's like, well, I need to get a new hammer. You're like, he instantly like, well, I was at the winter clinic and John was set up and he had some sweet looking hammers. You should probably try him.
Right.
Yeah.
So if you're not here, that's something I would like. Like, it's easy for us to say too. Like, me and Gavin are very lucky. The people that are on board with us are people that are here.
Yep.
And are sponsors, vendors here too. So it's like, but man, when you go to spend your dollars on the dude that was at the trailer helping people make tongs.
Right.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Like, you know, like, and so it's like, man, it's
and it's a trickle down effect. Like it just goes like it's going to spread from here because you're part of it, and I don't understand like I don't understand why like if you're trying to be in this business, if you're a vendor or something, why you wouldn't be a part of this, because these guys, all the guys that are here that are competing are the ones really trying, like they're really trying their hardest to be better.
And they're generally very smart, so it's like they smell like also like we all smell blood in the water.
Right.
We see a salesman from 10 or
Oh
away.
yes.
And
Oh
it's
yes.
like,
Yeah.
the last one that came through, I remember telling, I was like, one of you comes around every year, you hang out for 3 months, and you think you're fooling all of us,
Right.
and then you disappear.
Right.
I'm like, so just kind of know,
Yeah.
like,
Yeah. It just doesn't work. You got to be. It's got to be real.
It's a very
right?
true deal. So it's like, man, if you are gonna be a vendor in this world or a tool maker or anything, man, pay attention kind of what John's doing, because he's doing some good things. I mean,
Just-
he's like, it's like, it's cool that your business model is to be an asset and everything, because like you're an asset to our
Great
industry.
ambassador.
Well, I try to be that, and that's the thing. This has enriched my life, dude. I became a horseshoer because I thought, like, okay, if I showed up on time, I could probably make some money.
Yeah,
You know, and so I got it. But I've been to Canada, I've been to Scotland, I've been to England, I've been to every state in the Union. I've been Mexico, I've been to Colombia, I've been all in horseshoeing. I've been all over the world
horse.
teaching. Yeah, on a
Horse and a
horse,
anvil.
the trade, like,
Yeah.
and the friends that you make and the relations that you have, and it's just, it has enriched my life. And like when I was young, the lie was don't be a tradesman. You need to push
go to
paper.
school.
Oh, go to
That was
college.
the lie.
Yeah.
Right. And I sucked. I'm dyslexic. So I had a really hard time with sitting down doing the basic, like spelling and stuff like that. Well, I was like, well, this isn't working for me. I'm going to go horseshoeing school. I like working with my hands. I like making stuff. And the first year out of horseshoeing school that I spent $6,000 to go to school, I made $30,000 the next year. The people that were pushing paper weren't making that after 4 years of school. And I'm like, there's something with this.
Something fishy.
This worked out.
Right. But now people are starting to wake up a little bit.
I think so,
and
man.
the trades is where it's at. I mean, we need
on
makers. We need horseshoers. We need tool makers. We need manufacturing. We need, like, America's back, you know, and it's like the floodgates are opening up, and we need to start making again. And that's just we're doing some of it, but man, like anything's possible.
Anything's possible, and there's plenty of room always.
Right.
Man, it's
Yeah.
like, no, that is cool.
Something I was
doing
thinking about, like with the winter clinic, you know, you can meet those people that you see that probably are winning, you know, like guys like Stan Mullen, Troy Wood.
Yep.
And you get to kind of meet them in a different environment. Like sometimes at a contest, you're kind
That's
of,
very true.
Oh yeah.
It's
Oh
very
yeah.
relaxed.
Yeah.
you know, they're going to be willing to talk to you there at the contest, but it's a much more relaxed, and you can start to build those relationships with those people. And then if you want to reach out to them on social media or message them or whatever, they're going to respond to you a lot better because they have met you.
Oh, absolutely,
And
100%. Yeah, it's chill. This is chill, and some guys go like, I don't like competitors. They're so aggressive or something. Like, well, you got to understand, like anybody that's competing that wants to win, you got to have some fire in your belly.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And so, because you're going up against other guys, and you really care about this, and you really want to win, and then you get other guys that really want to care about it. So they're basically roosters coming together on the competition realm. But it doesn't mean they're not nice guys. They're just bowed up to win.
Yep.
Yeah.
Right. You know, and so once you understand that, things settle down a little bit for you. And but you're right. You come to an opportunity like that. This is clinic mode.
Yeah.
This is where you can learn. This is where you can get
It's
to know
the
somebody.
place, like, man, it's the place to get invites to shop. You know, like,
Go practice with
you know,
somebody.
because like, here's the place. Like, well, I'll swing a sledge for you for a little bit, and
Yeah.
they'll let you because there's not money on the line or all the practice.
Right,
Like,
yeah.
And they're like, man, this guy's not weird.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
that's good.
It's a it is a very relaxed,
Unique.
good,
This
yeah,
is a
good
unique,
relaxed environment.
Yeah, it is.
Good
It's
point.
really cool. Like the opportunity to be here is phenomenal. John puts on a great show.
Amazing.
Oh, it
And
like
it's only gonna get bigger.
yes.
Yeah.
It will.
It's
There's
on
so
fire.
much
Like,
energy that's into it. It's only gonna get
the
bigger.
vendor row was full
Yeah.
this year. There's 2 rooms pretty much full, and the trailer is always packed.
100%.
So
You have to kick him out.
yeah,
Like Craig at 7:30,
has
he's
to
like,
shut
"All right, we're
the
done.
lights off."
Shut it off."
It's been a long day.
Yeah.
So it is like you missed out this year. If you're not here, you missed out. But thankfully for you, there's gonna be a next year.
Yep.
Get on board. Try to come, man. Like,
Yeah.
If you guys are at home or wanting to do this, try to come. John's shoeless is out, so start to get into practice. Get your spot on the list. And man, thanks, John, for taking time out of away from everybody here.
Anything else that you would want to add?
Yeah.
The only thing I would add is, like, guys, if you haven't come. Like, this will enrich your life. This will enrich your, even if you don't like making shoes, even if you think this is BS, try it out.
There's the horseshoeing aspect of it as well.
With the horseshoeing,
If you
with
don't
like
think
horseshoeing
it's
glue.
about horseshoeing, man, me and Gavin just shot a waspy one for a demo.
Yeah.
Like, he looks like he wants to eat your lunch.
Right, yeah. Yeah, come, you'll learn something. It will, I guarantee you, it will enrich your life. Like, I mean, I'm thankful to be here.
Yeah. No, it is. You don't see anybody, like, hanging out in the corner.
No.
Here. Everybody's up, involved.
Yep.
You get to get your hands on things. It's great.
Yeah.
Man. It's a totally different aspect.
Yeah. Yeah. Thanks,
Good
guys.
Yeah, thank you, John.
Thank you, John.
See you in Amarillo.
I appreciate you.
Sweet.
Thank you.
Yep.